What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Coffee with Dudes. We got a fun one again today. Matt and myself are back on the pod, and we're talking about some different. We're kind of going through a list of things that are pretty fun, but I think they're going to be valuable for you guys. That could be, I mean, some like controversial things, hot takes that we've changed our mind on. Things that you might see on social media that are made to look like they're really easy when it comes to health and fitness, but are actually like a lot more difficult or maybe wrong completely. And so let's start here at the top of the list, Matt. I'll pass the baton to you for any hot takes that you've changed your mind on in recent years.
I would say like the one that comes to mind is like I used to be very anti like um chemicals like in food like Red 40 and all that stuff. Like I tried to eat like super clean. I didn't want to I like went through a phase of where I would only do organic stuff and like things like that, and just I think a lot of it has to do with what we hear on social media. And so, of course I would get, it's tough. I'm in this position of where like I want to practice what I preach and I want to live the most healthiest, fittest lifestyle that I can do. I'm coaching people to do the same. And so part of that is like, well, I better be very conscious and aware of what I'm putting into my body. And not to say that I'm not doing that now. I would just say I'm a lot more lenient than I would have been in the past, if that makes sense. Whereas
Mhm.
before I'm like, oh dude, if it has Red 40 or if it's a diet soda, like, the aspartame in it, like if it has these chemicals, like that's probably that's way worse than, and you and I have had pods too, where like as of recent, where we've gone in and dove in and we're like, dude, that diet soda might be more beneficial for somebody if it meant them consuming less calories because they have so much excess body fat on them, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I've totally changed my mind on that. I used to be like super strict on the whole like needs to be organic, needs to be super clean, like needs to be free of metals and like all this stuff. And it's just like you're not going to be able to eat perfectly, like, and ignore or be able to like, restrict all of those things out of what you consume and what you drink and everything, man. So that's one big thing. What about you? Anything come to mind?
Well, to talk about that too, because I'm definitely on the same page in a lot of areas in that where
Mhm.
I used to be like, oh, I have to eat a certain way, and like I'd be like so stressed if I went to like place where they didn't have the foods that I needed to like be successful with my plan, and it's kind of like I used to think that you need to be a hardo, right? It was
Mhm.
like you need to achieve these goals, like you need to be a hard ass, you need to work out for an hour and a half, and you have to eat perfectly, and you have to do these things. And I that's how I coached at the start too. Like it
Yeah.
was, and that's
Yep.
how you might like look back on some of the initial podcasts in this podcast.
For
If you
sure.
don't do it, don't do it. But if you
Don't,
did go way back,
yeah.
you
Don't
would
do it.
probably see like the super hardo version
Yeah.
of me. And so like I definitely
Same.
come around to the fact, and not just exercise. Like exercise doesn't need to be crazy. Like even if it's just like a 15-minute band workout, like
Hmm.
that's good. Like I don't need to do this crazy stuff. The food, it's like I'm I'm more. I'll mix in wine. I'll mix in. I just had pizza before we came to the
Oh
to
yeah.
do the podcast. It's like that stuff is a part of my plan, and like I try to be good throughout the week, like eat 60-70% pretty quality stuff, and then there's 30-40% of the stuff that's going to come from maybe not as good of sources.
Yeah.
And I've come around to that where it used to be like a 90-10, like it's got to be 90, it's like you can't
Yeah.
have this or that. But what that led me to do was it led me to either, when it came to exercise, fall completely off the plan. It's like you just like you run your body into the ground. When it came to food, led me to binge on those
Mhm.
things that I was completely restricting. And so I definitely have an almost like 180, complete 180 view of that kind of stuff now to where I did before.
Totally, dude. I agree 100%. I'm right there with you. We're definitely in that same boat. I think a lot of that has to do with also our upbringing and competitive nature in sports too. And like I think back to the types of coaches that I had, and like although huge parts of that were extremely beneficial and we're very focused on like like you said, being a hard ass and winning everything and like doing all like that's very, I think that's great. I think that has a time and a place. But for us, when we take that and we run with it and then we go and we live life with those, you know, intentions and that approach, we oftentimes, and from what I found, you could probably speak to this as well, is like I fell on my face a lot just from taking that approach where it was just like, dang, it's not all about like go, be a hard ass, train as hard as you can. You know, maybe there's some strategy to this. It's like how I used to run in football too. When I used to run the ball, it's like I wouldn't even wait for my blockers to like, you know, fill the gaps ahead of me. Like I would just on like set height go, like I would literally take the hand off and try to be and hit the hole as hard and as fast as I could. And like that's how I would approach life too, you know, versus going like, oh, I don't know what made me think of this, but I heard Le'Veon Bell, who was a, you know, awesome running back in the league for years. He mostly played for the Steelers. I think he played for the Jets too. But he was like, I never ran full speed, and that was just to allow himself to be able to be more shifty. When you can be, you know, laterally, you can be more shifty and you can juke a lot better when you're not running at full speed, you know, and the people who are trying to tackle you are. So it allows you more, you know, agility wise. And then it allows for things to develop in front of you too. So it allows you strategically to like hit the hole at a certain time. You can wait for your blockers. You're not just like, just going 100%, you know, and I like, that's like how I would train, and that's how I would live life. And that's like how I was brought up. And then all of a sudden you try to live life like that. And you're like, oh man, maybe I do need to be more patient. Maybe I do need to be more fluid in my approach. Maybe I do need to, you know, not go full speed and allow my, you know, metaphorically speaking, my blockers to come into place and allow to set things up for me so it can become easier and I don't have to stress as hard, or I don't have to press as hard. And I think there is a time and place to like put your foot on the throttle, but man, when that's your only option and that's your only approach, like you face burnout, you fall on your face a lot. And so you figure it out and you go, oh, okay, yeah, like this isn't all about like foot to the floor for the full, you know, length of life here. Like
Yeah.
there's some pause, there's some let off the throttle, ride neutral for a little bit. Shit, you might even have to hit reverse, you know. So it's like just changing my total approach, I would say, for sure, man.
Well, there's got to be more grace. You know, I think
Mm-hmm.
as you go on the journey, like it, there's a lot of people out there that are, it's like the David Goggins approach to it. It's like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
crazy every day, all day, like
yeah,
no quit, hard at, you know, it's like, and that works for some people,
yeah,
but it generally only works for people like for a while.
yeah.
And you got to understand, like, I think another thing, and this is kind of on the same lines, like strict, like there's like a lot of voices out there that are like the strict, like you do this and that and this and that, like that's what that you have to do this every day. You got to do a cold plunge and hour and a half workout and 10,000 steps and all these, like eat perfectly and like all these things, and it's tough when you hear all that from all these people that maybe you look up to,
Mm-hmm.
when there's like a different way to do it. Like there's a
Yeah,
great, like there's got to be grace there, and
yeah.
you're not always going to hit what you set out to hit on a daily basis, but that's how we readjust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as I've gone like through this, it's like I started out and it's like I don't hit something that day and it's like, oh, it's the end of the world, right? It's like, oh, this is like going to completely derail my progress. And the nature of it is like, even just by showing up and going through stuff, there's probably so many wins in that day.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just on to the next day. It's like on to the next day. You're not always going to be 100% with stuff, but that's why we talked about on our previous podcast. It's like the readjusting and what can you do on your worst day, is because not every day is going to be set up for like a perfect approach with all of these different health and fitness goals that we set out to do. And so it kind of on the same lines. I feel like all that is like all on the same lines of the hot take. And I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to think of other ones that come to mind. And I just cannot think of a lot of stuff. We've always kind of been on the sustainability train.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to be, I know there's like a lot of science on like the cold plunge and that stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, which is good. There's a lot of good stuff there. I think I don't know. Like there's just so many. like weird things that people say, like, and it's not,
Yeah,
I just have always kind of been on the side of just a sustainable approach.
yeah,
And it's just, I had that came from right away. It was like not a sustainable approach. I think both of us came from the place of, we came to the sustainable approach because
yeah.
we
We
could not
both found
do
it the hard way, I think. Like, yeah,
But what do you
definitely.
think, like on social media, since we're talking about that, like what are some things like this is there? I feel there's a lot of these out there that make it, that are made to look like they're so much easier than they actually are.
Like one thing that stands out right away is like when people show, like social media is a highlight reel, right? Like, so when people show them lifting max lifts and things like that, we see it all the time with like, oh, start a business, start your fitness business and drive around Lambos, and you could do that in the first 60 to 90 days if you do my program. Like, there's so much stuff that you got to like filter through and just understand that not everybody is walking around either A, super rich or super fit and super healthy and in shape. And there's a reason why America is the way it is because we want this instant gratification, dopamine hit. And so, of course, social media speaks exactly to that. And so, do my program, sign up for this. Like you'll get as strong as I am just by doing this and following my 12-week program, not knowing that behind the curtain that person that's posting that heavy lift or has the amazing body or awesome business has probably been doing it for years and years and years. And like you don't get a chance to see any of that. You just see the tip of the iceberg. And so
Yeah.
that's what social media shows is the tip of the iceberg. They don't show everything below the surface. And so I think that's very misleading is like how quickly you can get in shape, how strong you can be, even down to like how simple recipes are. Like I'll admit, I would like post recipe videos that were like high protein recipe videos that would take me hours and hours to make, but I'd condense it all down into like a 60-second clip or less to make it look like this protein meal was like super easy and super simple to make. And although it was, time wise, it would take me like 3-4 hours from start to finish to go to the grocery store to get all the things, to prep it, to get the correct angles, to like, sometimes I would mess up recipes and I would like leave things out and then I had to do it again. And it was like, you don't see any of that in the 60-second reel, And so it's just like, I think social media is just so misleading and like, it can be extremely beneficial too, depending on how you use it. But yeah, those are just some things that come to mind where I'm just like,
Yeah.
those look, those can be very misleading, right?
You nailed a lot of the stuff I was thinking about too. I mean, what came to mind right away from me was like guys that have a six pack that make it, this,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
these three steps that, it's like,
Yeah. Do
and
these exercises. It's like, bro.
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this core exercise is why I get,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the nature of that too is like what people don't understand is sometimes people can't even get a six pack. And
Yeah.
also that the percentage of body fat is going to vary person by person based on your genetics, your makeup,
Hmm.
all these different things of what you need to get down to personally to show like the abs
Yeah.
underneath your fat. Cause everybody has, well, I shouldn't say that. Cause like even like there's some people that it's like, oh, at 15% body fat, like they show like
Hmm.
abs, right? And then there's other
Yeah.
people that they need to get down to like 5% if they
Yeah.
actually, and that might not be worth it for that person to do. Whereas the 15% person probably can walk around all year round looking pretty good,
Yeah.
just through a little bit less, like a lot less effort. Right.
For sure.
And then the magic bullet, there's always like, that's the thing is like to stand out, you got to have the magic bullet.
Hmm.
I think people put way too much stock in cold like therapy, like cold tubs and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the
Yeah.
putting
That's
your
the
face
way,
like
dude.
a bowl and like getting in a cold tub, which is, I think it's beneficial in the fact that I did it for a while too, where I do cold showers, where it's beneficial to do something that like sucks right away in the morning,
Hmm.
but also you can do like a hard workout and it's going to accomplish something like that too. Not to mention that there are like proven health benefits behind
Of
the
course.
cold
Yeah.
therapy stuff. Like there is that, but I think that people put too much stock in certain things and make it seem like if you do this, you're gonna achieve this.
Hmm.
When there's so many other factors, like we need to be consistent. We need to just do the basic stuff. Like if I were to put down like one thing that somebody'd start with, like the last thing would be a cold tub, right? Like it's like I'm talking like, why don't you just get up and like go on a walk? right?
Yeah.
It's like you kind of,
Yeah.
like that's gonna get you a lot farther, and that's just not sexy, right? The
Yeah.
social media side of things, but also like what you kind of mentioned this a little bit. A lot of times people will preach this and that and the other thing when it comes to health and fitness and why they're where they are, but they leave out the fact that they're like taking like a lot of different things, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
they're on TRT, which, maybe they need to be, maybe they like need to do that, but that's going to make their life a lot easier when it comes to, getting in better shape, staying in better shape year round. And then also like some of these people, they have the funds and the means to spend a lot of money on these things that are going to help them,
Yep.
right? Some people have a chef that cooks for them, right? Whereas is it like that makes things a lot easier because you're not spending the time to do the meal prep and the different stuff. Like it's put in front of you when you get up or whatever that is. So I think like, all of those things they kind of just build off of what you said, but it's just there's so many things that like I think it's everything is the answer to that. Like what
Yeah.
on social media looks easier than it is. It's like every single possible thing.
For
It's
sure, dude.
going to take you a lot longer than they say it's going to take you. Whether that's for a business, whether that's for your body, anything in health and fitness. A lot of times people are withholding different things from you, and 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 it a lot of people think that they are made to believe they can get to where this person is when they've been doing it, like you said, for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
It's easier. They have a lot more leeway at that point in time. They've built a lot more muscle. Like it's just, there's a lot of, as you get deeper in, things become a lot easier because
Hmm.
it's just, you can make mistakes and be bounced back a lot quicker.
Yeah, totally. Whereas somebody like that may be taking that same or try to take that same approach that they're seeing on social media, it's just like you don't see behind the curtain with that person and how many years of experience they have. And if you were to take their same approach, you're in a totally different position. You're in a totally different stage in your life and experience level and expertise and like training age alone. And so like that stuff may not be beneficial for you. Whereas like you said, starting more basic, more fundamental, doing stuff that doesn't look sexy on social media, but is probably far more beneficial for you, like going and taking a walk, doing squats to a chair with your own body weight to maybe start with, learning fundamentally how to breathe and do the right mechanics in some of these movements, like, that versus, hanging from a pull-up bar and catching a med ball between your feet and throwing it to your buddy and doing that to get a six pack. It's just like,
Yeah.
bro, so
Doing
there's so
Bosu ball squats. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, like it's just stuff that like looks cool.
yeah. And that's like all the Hollywood
Mhm.
people.
Yeah,
You see like all of these like people that train, and like some of it's like they train athletes, and
yeah,
some of the stuff they do, it's like, okay, that makes sense for Derrick Henry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
when you see like Tom, who's working a 9 to 5 at 45, trying to do those things at the
Right.
gym.
Yeah, working on his stiff arm strength, like, bro.
Yeah. Or neck, like neck curls, like
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
zooming and like,
Yeah. Come on, guy.
it's crazy, dude.
What
But
about this one, dude? And you could probably say this with anything, but what about, is there something that comes to mind that you don't have figured out yet? I mean, we could really say anything, but like, is there something that's specific? And I could even like add on to that too. Something that you don't have figured out yet that people either A, think you do have figured out because you're probably better than most at it, or B, that you're like, I still want to continue to keep chipping away at it. I don't know if I'll ever figure it out, but like I want to keep getting better at it. Is there anything that comes to mind on that topic for you?
I don't know. I mean, I think that this year was just this last year was more of like a, like consistency wasn't like with my body. I definitely, put on a few pounds, not in,
Hmm.
probably
Hmm.
in not as good a shape as I've been in a while, but also it was like the happiest year of my life too.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think, it's kind of it's like the give and take. Like
Uh-huh.
so I don't, I think that a lot of stuff within health and fitness, I don't think I'll ever have fully figured out, but
Same.
having enough knowledge to like get back on the horse and like get myself into better shape when I need to. And also like, on that thing, it's like that just goes to the, like that buzzword of balance, but like that's going to be different in different years. Like this was a year, got married and traveled a lot and honeymoon and like all these different things, and still like, feel good. And but I mean, I think that there's so many things I don't have figured out. I can't really think of, I'm trying to like think in the health and fitness side of things. I think it's just like I know enough, or it's like you kind of know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But there's always still like that, like, well, there's still stuff that I don't know about it too, and
Yeah.
there's still stuff that like there's always something to be learned. So that's why I really kind of think that that answer is probably everything. It's just like exactly what you said. You know enough to be dangerous, you know enough to be successful with it, but there's always crossing that point in time too where you're like, okay, I should probably know a little bit more about this, or I feel like I've been stagnant in this area for a while. I need to, either move the needle a little bit more here or there. So it's like, I mean, I still feel like that with health and fitness, and we've been doing this forever, and I still feel like that with nutrition, and I still feel like that with as I start to get older and being smarter with my training and learning my body a little bit better, and that just keeps coming with time and experience and learning and, doing it over and over, and just life in general, like, from everything. So I think it's just one of those things where it's just like, cool, I'm not going to know it all,
Oh
nor
yeah.
will I ever, but maybe there's certain categories that we want to continue to keep getting better at. Health and fitness, I think, is always going to be one of them.
Well, it's a
But
roller coaster, right? Like everything is. One week you're on top of the world. You feel like
yeah.
you're like, oh, this one thing is like I'm feeling so good, and then the next week comes and it's just like it's trying to stay here, right? It's like you're just
Yep.
like trying to stay here because
Yep.
there's gonna be good weeks, bad weeks. There's gonna be
Yep.
weeks where you're motivated to do everything and you
Hmm.
feel so good, and then there's gonna be weeks where it's like just doing anything feels like
Yep.
so hard, and it's just
Hmm.
like you're so much friction in between it, and how you can just like keep somewhere even and like find a way to continue doing things that help you feel good and help you move forward even in those hard weeks is really the name of the game. But that's about all I got on the topic. I feel like this is fun. It's kind of fun to go into this stuff and dive into some things that we maybe don't talk about. Some stuff that hopefully you guys can find beneficial and use to your advantage. Especially that social media side of things. You know, it, it really is toxic out there, and understanding what you're looking at and that you're probably not looking at what you think you're looking at is important. So hopefully it's been helpful. If it was, just make sure you toss us a like and share this with somebody you think could benefit from it. Otherwise, we hope you guys have a great rest of the day. We'll be talking to you soon.